Hello, everybody, and welcome into day 2 of PEC24 Expo, and we are starting it off with a great panel today and a great group of panelists with the team behind MovieWorld's Fright Nights, their Behind the Screams panel. So in the center here, we have Cold, who's the vice chairman of MovieWorld, and then over to his right is Cedar, who is the event organizer here for PEC, as well as the co-owner of Team TBM. And to his left, we have Panda, who is the director here at PEC and a co-owner of Team TBM and MovieWorld. I am Disney Diamond 15, and I will be passing it over to Cold to get this panel started.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to PEC Day 2, a really great event. Thank you for joining us here today. Like Disney Diamond said, this is the Behind the Screams panel. Some of you may remember it from last year, but we're back here today. We have some amazing news to talk about the event called Fright Nights, which takes place in the MovieWorld game. It's an event that we started last year, and it went really well. We learned a lot, and so this year we really want to go out and show you guys how much we've advanced, how much we've learned. That's really the purpose of this panel, just to show you how we've improved on everything. So that said, I'm going to pass this on to Cedar, who's going to give a little welcome, and then I'll talk a little bit, Panda will talk a little bit, and then we'll move on to some news.
Thank you. So, hi everyone, I'm Cedar. I own MovieWorld's. We hope you enjoyed today's talk. We're going to go over, as Cole already mentioned, lots of the different sort of events and different rides and also mazes we're going to have for PEC this year and for MovieWorld this year. So I'm going to hand over to Panga to do another little introduction and we will begin.
Hello all, I'm Panda. I'm also a co-owner of MovieWorld's. Very good to be back doing another PEC event. This is hopefully going to be a really exciting sort of panel here, explaining what we've got coming up for Fright Night. I think I'm going to pass back over to Cole to continue going over what we've got covered.
All right, awesome. So before we get into it, I just really want to talk about what are our goals for this year in Fright Nights. So last year we opened a pretty small event. Well, we had a couple of mazes, a couple of scare zones, and it was really just us kind of finding our footing in the whole scare. I guess haunt would be the right word. The whole haunt world. We learned a lot. So really, our main goal, like I said before, is to learn off what we did last year, what we did well, and also learn from what we did wrong. I consider that this year the event is a lot, a more coherent. It's better quality, which is really what we've been going for. We've been working on it tirelessly since last year. We have an exciting lineup filled with powerful mazes, big names, which I'm sure you guys are really going to like to hear about in a couple of minutes. The scare zones, we have some original IPs. You guys are going to hear all about it in a minute, and maybe some big news along the way as well. So I'm going to pass it to Cedar and Panda so they tell you a bit about pricing, and then we'll get into it.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it and then Panda can sort of go over all the finer details. But the pricing will be the same as last year. So for a 1-day pass, which will allow you to have 24 hours in the Halloween event, it will cost 10 Robux. If you want a week, which is 7 days, you can have it for 70 Robux. And if you want to play every single day all the way through October, you can get the unlimited pass, which is 360 Robux. So, as it already mentions, unlimited passes can be purchased on Wednesday, the 22nd of September. And yeah, I'm going to pass over to Panda for the rest of it.
So as Cedar said, it's exactly the same as last year. We found it was quite a good sort of pricing. Buying the unlimited pass gets you the best value. If you pay like day by day or week by week, you will end up paying more. So you try and encourage people to buy the unlimited pass. and that will, as Suda said, get you access to everything. And yeah, just make note that the passes do go off sale just 2 days before the end of October, with the very last day, 31st of October, being completely free for everyone. And yeah, I think that's everything covered in the pricing range.
Yeah, that's all good. So I'm going to move on to the next slide and hand back over to Cold.
All right. So this year we have something pretty exciting going on here. The event name this year we're gonna have an event name each year. This year the event name is going to be Fright Nights Land of Perdition. You might have seen it on our booth. So this year we have 4 mazes and 3 scare zones, all culminating in a 7, attraction lineup for Fright Nights. Very exciting. So first of all, we're going to start with maze announcements. We're going to go over the mazes, and then at the end of the panel, we'll answer any questions you may have about these mazes or about the scare zones. So if we move on to the next slide, we'll hear about our first maze. Now, you might not know what these logos are, but some of you might. How many of you last year went to Fright Nights? I'm not sure, but if you were there, you might recall the scare zone, Crimsh's Carnage. It took place on Main Street, and we're happy to announce that it's going to come back full force as a maze this year. It's a collaboration of MovieWorld and Phoenix Studios, a group that closed down earlier this year. This maze will be a kind of homage to Phoenix Studios. It's going to be going through its major productions. We're talking about the Crimson Ad Show, Subjectivity, which are 2 major productions that Phoenix Studios did. You're going to go through all the sets. You're going to meet some of the characters from the shows. It's something very exciting. It's a collaboration that's been honestly months in the making. So we're really happy to finally get this out there for you guys. The set designs are absolutely stunning. The effects are amazing. We've really stepped it up with mazes this year, like I said. You're going to see a lot of it, especially here in Phoenix Studios. So yeah, that's Phoenix Studios. More will come out about it in the future. So stay tuned on our social media, Movie World. And yeah, let's go to the next slide for the next maze. Now, this one, some of you, I guess Halloween Horror Nights fans might be familiar with it. This is called Holidays in Hell. Holidays in Hell is a returning maze from last year. I think people were considering it the best maze we had at the event last year. And this year, we're going to step it up a ton. We're going to double down on everything that made Holidays in Hell the strong addition to the lineup that it was. We're going to be a lot more faithful to the Holidays in Hell version that appeared recently, not so much I believe it's 2018 when the maze came out. It's going to be a lot more faithful. Maybe have some custom elements in there. But again, Holidays in Hell, it's going to come back. We're going to improve it. It's going to be great. Before we move on, Cedar Panda, is there anything you want to add to these 2 mazes that we've covered so far?
No, nothing to add from me.
All right.
So just adding on a little bit onto it, the Holidays in Hell last year was a fan favourite, so we're keeping lots of original parts of it, but we're improving it and making it a much better experience overall because we know many of you enjoy it. So there's no point getting rid of it forever. We'll keep bringing it back and making sure you love it even more.
All right, so if we move to the next slide, we'll hear about our next maze. Now, for those of you who were at our PEC booth, you might have seen this facade there. This, of course, is the games of Jigsaw. This is a maze I'm very excited about to bring to the parks. I love Saw. I'm a big fan of the Saw franchise, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to bring the story of this amazing group of movies to Movie World. The games of Jigsaw is going to be an assortment from all the Saw movies, so you can expect stuff from the early 2000s movies all the way to Saw X, which came out, I believe, last year. Expect some of the greatest traps from the movies. Expect lots of jump scares. This maze is going all out. Expect a lot of claustrophobic spaces, really sticking true to that kind of uneasiness you get from watching the movies. We're bringing that here full force. You can expect to see Saw very soon, and we think you're going to love it. We think that the details are amazing. We have custom audio being made for it. It's going to be a really immersive experience. We're very excited for you guys to experience Saw. And yeah, let's move on to the 4th maze. Now, this maze right here is a maze I was very excited about. This was a maze that I started working on as soon as last year's event ended. this is the Undead Revolution, but most of you might know it for The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is coming to Movie World as a maze, and I'm absolutely thrilled again to bring this one to the parks. The Undead Revolution, or The Walking Dead, I should say, for those of you who have watched the show, you know that it's an absolute icon. It's a classic show. It's classic everywhere. So to be able to bring it to the parks is an honor. My words cannot do it justice. Similar to Saw, expect content from all the seasons of The Walking Dead. Expect seeing some of your favorite characters. Expect Rick Grimes, Daryl, Negan. You can expect all those characters. You're going to see them. You're going to have some close-ups of some walkers. Again, set design here. We went all out. We've had help from lots of people on this maze, so it's going to be probably one of our strongest ones. It's my personal favorite. But before we move on, I think you might recall at the beginning of the maze, of the panel, sorry, I said that there was going to be some exciting news. And well, it has to do with this maze, because when we move on to the next slide, the Undead Revolution will be becoming a permanent attraction at Movie World. It will be located on Main Street, and it will be a permanent attraction for you all to be able to enjoy it year-round. So it's going to be permanently joining the Movie World lineup. We're going to be constantly improving it, like all the attractions, making sure it's always at the highest quality possible. Honestly, we've been kind of playing around with the idea of having a permanent scare maze as part of the Movie World. And honestly, originally you may recall it was Beetlejuice, but we've decided to opt for The Walking Dead from how versatile it is. Because of all the spin-off shows that are coming out, it always gives us chances to go back and add more content to it, update it, and bring some new stuff for you guys to check out in the maze. Before we move on to scare zones, is there anything Panda or Cheeto want to add?
Yep, so I would just like to tell everyone we've worked so hard on this maze so far, and we're absolutely thrilled it will become a permanent maze. Over the next couple months, there'll be a few little edits around the park, which will begin to make room for not only Halloween, but this permanent maze. So make sure you join us a little bit later, and we will go into more details on that. But no, that's everything I have to say.
All right. So now we get to move on to the scare zones. Now, for those of you who don't know what scare zones are pretty much kind of pop-up little walkthrough sections that show up in different areas of the park. For example, last year, you may recall in Main Street, we had Crimson's Carnage. So there's a lot of facades. So yeah, all of these exciting things. We have 3 scare zones lined up this year. We're very excited about them. So let's move on to the first scare zone so we can start talking about them. Now, we're really pressing on The Walking Dead love this year. Located in Dark City, we're going to be bringing here The Walking Dead Fall of the Commonwealth. It's an original scare zone based off the show. It's going to be based off the later seasons of the show. For those of you who have watched it, you know what the Commonwealth is. You're familiar with it. But the scare zone will basically take you through these through kind of this ideal world that these survivors have made to survive from the apocalypse. They have a functioning military. It seems like a virtually perfect place to live. But obviously, it's The Walking Dead. Just things are going to go wrong, and you're going to be in the front row seeing it all happen. You'll be able to walk through it. Lots of great scare zones, lots of great set design. So expect a lot of that in Fall of the Commonwealth. So let's move on to the next scare zone. Now, this scare zone is returning from last year. Some of you may recall it. Happily Never After is one of the scare zones that was very prominent last year. Now, Happily Never After, as the name indicates, it is a kind of a spoof on the Happily Ever After phrase. You'll be going through all these famous fairy tales, so Hansel and Gretel, I guess Goldilocks and the Three Bears, all those famous fairy tales from your childhood. You're going to be able to walk through them and see them take on a darker twist, if that makes sense. Again, last year, going back to what I said earlier, it was one of our weaker scare zones. So this year, we're going to absolutely make up for it. We're going to press on it hard. We have set design going insane. Lots of ambience. It's going to be a very ambience-heavy area. lots of mist, lots of smoke. It's going to be a very eerie experience to walk through it. So we're very excited to kind of do this concept justice that we've been working on for a while. And moving on to the third and final announcement, we have The Purge. The Purge is, again, a returning scare zone from last year. You may recall last year it was in Superhero City. This year we're coming back. The Purge, honestly, last year was the fan favorite scare zone. So this year we want to have a lot more characters. We want to have, again, more references to the movies. So expect seeing some of your favorite kind of purgers that were present in the movies. Expect seeing them come back a little bit for this scare zone. Expect some Easter eggs as well. There's going to be some characters in there that you might be able to spot. Maybe some famous people. We're gonna have a lot of Easter eggs in this one, so it'll be fun to kind of look through it and find all these hidden details that we have in there. And yeah, before we move on to wrapping this up, any comments to add about the scare zones?
Just adding on to the Purge, it was a really big one last year, and we spent quite a while on the different areas. But overall, for this year, we've put so much more effort into it. We've put more sort of little features, and overall, the event this year has become a much bigger and better event, and each year we're learning. So if anyone has any ideas or improvements, they can let us know and we can look into adding them, and definitely look into doing it. But that's everything I really have to say for that.
All right. Well, that said, I believe that's all the announcements we have. We move to the next slide. Just recap. Again, we have 4 mazes. We have Phoenix Studios. We have Holidays in Hell, The Undead Revolution, and we have 3 scare zones. We have Happily Never After, Fall of the Commonwealth, and The Purge. So before we wrap this up, does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to ask? Here, let me send it in. Yeah, does anybody have any questions?
So we'll leave the Q&A open for a little bit. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask them.
All right. We have a picture up front from HBomb MCC. He asks, "This is my first time coming to your Halloween event. What is your beginner's guide and tips and info, etc.? And why is it 260 Robux for an unlimited pass?" All right. Well, that's a great question, HBomb. Thank you. So to get a little bit into why it's the okay. Thank you, HBomb. He sent the question again. Why is it 260 Robux for an unlimited pass? Well, again, keep in mind that this event comes around once a year. 260 Robux it entails basically unlimited access to all of our mazes, all of our scare zones. Because again, when the event happens, I maybe should have elaborated on this earlier. It doesn't just go into the main game. There's a separate game that you teleport to. Mostly, I think maybe Cedar could do a better job explaining it than I could about why it's the price that it is. Yep. But overall, it's just kind of culminating in all the amount of work that we do throughout the year. And again, we're talking about exclusive emblems. We're talking about merchandise that are going to be on sale during the event. All that comes within the Fright Nights event. So you're not just unlocking maze access, you're unlocking emblem access and all those, and obviously access to the event itself.
Yeah, so the reason for the game, the reason for it being paid is it's a seasonal event. So whenever we do sort of a big event, we will always charge a little bit for it. So this year, the 260 Robux is that price because it's a bit cheaper than the 10 Robux per day. You'll save a little bit by buying it all year. You also get a exclusive emblem. You'll be able to see little previews, and occasionally you'll be able to see little bits which other people may not be able to see. So that's sort of the reason behind that. And I saw one of your other questions was, do you have any tips and information about the event? And my sort of advice would be, enjoy it. There'll be lots of sort of unexpected things, and the game is always best to listening to it with headphones because it gives you a sort of better overall experience on it. But that's sort of everything I have to say on it.
Yeah. Are there any more questions in the stream, maybe? What maze do you think is going to be the scariest maze in the event? Great question, Chaz. Honestly, if you're asking me, like I said earlier, I think the Undead Revolution is really gonna shine. Because that one and Saw, I think, are really gonna shine the most this year. Just because we're really doubling down on the claustrophobic feelings the mazes are supposed to inspire in people. The Undead Revolution is a very intense maze, while Saw, it has a lot of sudden jump scares. So again, I think honestly the Undead Revolution is going to be the strongest maze this year. But again, we'll have to see how people like it, what the reception is. It's hard to say at this point in time. When is the Halloween event starting and ending? Cedar, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. So the event will start on October the 1st and will end on the 31st. And yeah, the pass will be available for everyone to get if they want to play it. But yeah, 1st of October until the 31st.
I think that's all of it. So again, thank you guys so much for coming down today. Thank you for listening, and we hope you're excited for Fright Nights to End of Perdition. Now that these mazes have been announced, expect a lot more sneak peeks. Make sure to join the MovieWorld server. We're going to hear a lot more about these mazes in the coming weeks leading up to October. And yeah, thank you so much for coming down.
Cool. Thanks for coming, everyone.